श्रीवासरङ्गपरकालमुनित्रयाप्तलक्ष्मात्मरक्षणैतिद्योगागमान्तम् आचार्यभक्तिपरिपूतमनर्गशीलं गोपालदेशिकमुनिं गुरुमाश्रयामः. We have gathered here for celebrating our Acharya Sarvabhauman, the most precious, precocious, wonderful son of Sri Kurattalvan, Swami Sri Parasara Bhattar. The Parasara Bhattar's Taniyan, the invocatory verse, is Sri Parasara Bhattaryaha Srirangesha Purohitaha Srivatsanga Sutta Sriman Shreyase Mestu Bhuyase. அதாவது பட்டர் was actually the Svikara Putran of Sri Ranganathan and Ranganayaki. He was born as a direct result, the direct anugraham of Ranganathan and Ranganayaki. His parents, of course, Kurattalvan and Andal. And it seems the tradition mentions that Swami Sri Kurattalvan, who used to go on Munchavritti, he could not go on one particular day because it was heavy torrential downpour. And Kurattalvan, a great devotee of Ranganatha, an ardent disciple, Shishya, prime Shishya of Sri Ramanuja, he was not able to go out to gather his food by alms, because that was the way he used to do every day. So since he could not collect, there was no rice food on that day. So he and his most faithful, obedient wife Andal had to starve. The midday Aradhanam for Ranganathan, there is a bell which rings, and Perumal was offered prasadam, and when the bell rang, and it seems Andal must have thought that your devotee is staying without food and you are having prasadam. It seems immediately Perumal in Ashariri, in ethereal voice, commanded the Uttama Nambi, the head priest, to go and hand over the prasadam to Kurattalvan Tirumaligai. So within few minutes, Kurattalvan's Tirumaligai, the door was knocked and Uttama Nambi was there with Bhagavat Prasadam. Kurattalvan came to know later that it was Andal who had thought about, and of course Kurattalvan received Uttama Nambi with respect and accepted the Bhagavat Prasadam as the great honor, anugraham from Divya Dampati. From that day, Andal became pregnant, and in due course of time, about 10 months' time, Parasara Bhattar, she gave birth to two sons who were given the name of Ranganatha and Sri Rama. So Ranganatha was his original name, and the Sri Rama was the Sri Rama Bhattar. So Ranganatha is none other than our Parasara Bhattar, because Ramanuja wanted to name, as he had promised Swami Alavandar, that he would name our child in our Sampradayam with the sage Parasaras to declare Parasara's glory. So even as a child, our Parasara was the adopted son of Ranganatha and Ranganayaki. It seems the Divya Dampatis used to rock the cradle of their Svikara Putran in front of their Asthanam, and they only brought up the child. There is no surprise that Parasara Bhattar had the brilliance, had the intelligence, insight into our wonderful, unparalleled cardinal truth of Vishishtadvaita. And he blessed us with the most profound Sri Suktis in Sanskrit, Ashtashloki, superb commentary called Bhagavad Guna Darpanam on Vishnu Sahasranamam, the most wonderful slokam on Ranganayaki called Sri Gunaratna Kosham, and great stotram on Ranganatha called Rangaraja Stavam. Sri Rangaraja Stavam, 232 slokas. We all had the bhagyam of listening to the brilliant rendition of the Rangaraja Stavam here. I joined late, so I had to listen only the Rangaraja Stavam. So there are many anecdotes in Parasara Bhattar's life. Even as a child, Parasara Bhattar was so intelligent, and it seems he was playing as a boy of 4 years old. He was playing in the mud, in the street, in the sands of Srirangam, Chitravidhi. And it was a stronghold of Sri Vaishnavism. And there was one Sarvajna Bhattar, a scholar. He was coming on a palanquin, the pallake, and the palanquin bearers were the admirers. They were proclaiming the deep knowledge, the jnanam, and his skill, and hence they were praising the Sarvajna Bhattar, that he was so and so, he was great, he was glory, and about his glories. So Bhattar was amused to see and hear these praises on Sarvajna Bhattar. So Parasara Bhattar took one handful of sand and called Sarvajna Bhattar and asked, if you are Sarvajnan, if you know everything, tell me how much sand is in my fist, is in my palm. Tell me, can you count? So Sarvajna Bhattar did not know how to count, because there were so many, very many sands, particles in his fist. And he was awestruck with the wonder, with the boldness of the young boy and the question. So he asked him back, I don't know, can you tell me how much? Parasara Bhattar laughed. You don't even know this. You are Sarvajna Bhattar. It is one handful of sand, that's all. You don't have to tell the number. You just need to say one handful. And the aged scholar admired the intelligence of the boy and the presence of mind of the boy. He got down from the palanquin. He hugged him, embraced him, and he blessed him with mangalams and went away. There are very many anecdotes. He learnt all the shastras from his father Kurattalvan. He learnt the ragasya arthams, the sampradaya arthams, the doctrines, the adhyatma shastrams from Yambar, Govindar. He also studied the Nalayar Divya Prabandham, and he was so much immersed in Nalayar Divya Prabandham that his anubhavam is tremendous. So Bhattar spent almost his entire life in Srirangam. Of course, he went on self-exile to Tirukotiyur. And Bhattar had this Sri Rangarajastavam, Sri Ranganatha Ashtakam, 8 slokas, and of course Sri Vishnu Sahasranama Bhashyam called Bhagavad Guna Darpana, the mirror that reflects the Kalyana Gunams. Ashtasloki, the 8 meanings which glorify, which talk about and detail the Ashtaksharam, Dvayam and the Charama Slokam. The Rangaraja Stavam, there are 127 slokas in the Purva, in the first part, and 105 slokas in the second part. Sri Gunaratna Kosam and Lord Ranganayaki on their 61 verses. Then of course there are few works of his are available in fragments. The verses are referred to by the next lineage of Acharyas. Tattva Ratnakara, mentioned by Vedanta Desika in Nyaya Parishuddhi and Nyaya Siddhanchanam. There are 72 quotations by Vedanta Desika on Tattva Ratnakara of Parasara Bhattar. The Nitya, a manual of daily rituals by Parasara Bhattar. A couple of slokas quoted by Vedanta Desika, but the book is lost. Adhyatma Khanda Dvaya Vivarana or Vyakhyanam. 2 quotations are available which are quoted by Vedanta Desika in Nyaya Siddhanjanam. Lakshmi Kalyanam. This is supposed to be the drama by Bhattar dealing with the wedding of goddess Lakshmi. Vedanta Desika refers to this as Lakshmi Kalyanam in two of his works. And of course, Varaha Purana, the Bhagavan Varaha reveals to the Bhumi Pirati, and of course we know about the Nampadwan story. And Parasara Bhattar wanted to offer at the feet of his favorite deity, Lord Ranganatha, about the Kaisika Purana Vyakyanam. And of course his other work is a commentary on verse 21 of Tirunedundandagam, Maivanna Narumkunji. One of the 6 poems, one of the 6 granthams or 6 pasurams of Trimangai Alvar. It describes graphically, in a beautiful manner, in a moving language, about the pangs of separation, the Viraha Tapam, the Parakala Nayaki, the Trimangai Alvar on Perumal. And Bhattar begins with his commentary with a clear analysis of the poem. Of course, with reference to this Tirunedundandagam only, which is called Vedanta Sastram, which under instructions from Bhagavad Ramanuja, Bhattar went to Melkottai, the Tirunarayanapuram, to meet the Vedanti, a highly learned Advaita scholar, and in a debate on Tirunedundandagam, and he conquered him in that debate. And it was quite a new name to that Vedanti, Advaita Vedanti, but the noble scholar agreed to enter into that contest, and Bhattar succeeded in the debate, and the scholar became his disciple called Nanjiyar. Bhattar came to Srirangam on the eve of Adhyayana Utsavam. He went to worship Perumal Lord Ranganathan, and Ranganathan wanted to hear from Parasara Bhattar how he defeated the Advaitin scholar with the Tirunedundandagam. So he repeated the same. So this incident is commemorated even today through Arayar Sevai in Srirangam. Of course, Lord Ranganatha, when he was talking about the Kaisika Purana Pathanam, Lord Ranganatha was so much pleased with the production of Bhattar that he straightaway bestowed on him the highest gift, namely Vaikunta Prapti. Next moment, Bhattar shed his mortal coil and attained the Acharyan Trivadi at Sri Vaikuntham. Bhattar's life is so beautiful and full of great anecdotes, and he was a great Acharya, wonderful works, brilliance in each of his works, and Swami Desikan is very much inspired by Parasara Bhattar, and he copies almost the same tone, the style of Parasara Bhattar's works. Swami Desikan takes in his works. And of course, the title of today's topic is Bhattar's Nirvaham. There are very many wonderful references of Bhattar and Nanjiyar conversation and Bhattar and other conversation as to how Bhattar would interpret the Divya Prabandham works. First of all, when Alvar, almost all Alvars were mostly engrossed in Krishnavataram more than Ramavataram, more than any other avataram. Why? The question was asked to Bhattar, and Nanjiyar asked him. And Bhattar, it seems, said that Ramavataram was in Ayodhya, in Ikshvakukulam, in a Kshatriya Vamsam. Obviously, Ramavataram, there was Vasishta, sage Vasishta was there to protect. Dasaratha Chakravarti was there. He was most valorous. And Rama had 3 brothers who were equally valorous, who were equally strong. And nobody could enter into the Ayodhya, no enemy could enter. And the entire Ayodhya residents were falling in love with Rama. Whereas in Krishnavataram, everything was opposite. Even the Yugam was different. And Kamsan was insistent upon killing Krishna, chasing him. He sent right from his birth, one after the other, the Rakshasi, Asura, everyone, in different forms. And he was in a cowherd folks. He was brought up in Arivondrumillada Aikulam. So Krishna had no protection. Absolutely he was helpless. So people took pity on Lord Krishna. Pirandavarum Valandavarum Krishna, they fell in love with Krishna Avataram. எத்திரம் முரலினோடு இணைந்திருந்து ஏங்கிய எளிவே மல்லாண்ட திண்டோள் மணிவண்ணா வானனைய ஆயிரம் தோளும் புழி குருதி பாய. Everywhere they talked about Krishna. And of course, Bhattar, when Nanjiyar asked him why Ramapiran did not go as messenger, whereas Krishna went as a messenger for Pandavas, because Bhattar was very much soft, had a soft corner for Rama, like Trimangai Alvar. Bhattar always used to love Rama, and because of that Nanjiyar instigated him. Why Rama did not, he wanted to find fault with Rama Avatar. Why Rama did not go as a messenger and only Krishna? Bhattar said Rama could have gone as a messenger. He never said I will not go as a messenger. Nobody would ask him, because he was the son of Dasaratha Chakravarti, and hence he had to go. He had to stay away from being a messenger. That's all. And of course, there was one more question. This Kadamba Maram Puttu Kulungiyariyen, when in the Kalinga Nardanam anecdote, when Krishna climbed on the Kadamba Maram to jump into the pond of that Yamuna, so to attack and to tame the Kalingan. The Kadamba Maram was full of flowers. The question was, the pond was poisonous because the snake was poisonous. It was exhuming heavy poisonous fumes, and all the cattle who went there fell dead. When such is the case, how is the tree standing live? How is it alive? Why does it have flowers? It should have already been spoiled, and it should have been dead, the tree. So the answer given by Bhattar was, just by looking at Krishna came there and he looked at the tree, because he had to jump from the tree. The kataksham itself is enough. The question was asked by Siriyatan to Bhattar. The kataksham was enough for the tree to become live. Just like the kataksham and the dust particle was enough for Ahalya to become a lady. And hence there was no reason why it was not ripening. There were flowers, there were fruits, everything was there. And of course, Nampillai for the same question mentioned that when Krishna stepped on the tree, it must have become live. And both were right, of course. And there was one more question, that Poovum Pushanayum Tagume. The any poo and any pugai is okay for our Perumal. Any flower, any smoke, any fragrance is enough. And that was the question asked by our Nanjiyar. In fact, Nanjiyar said the Shastra mentions that you should avoid the Kantakalika Pushpam like that. So why is the Shastra prohibiting when Alvar mentions that any flower or any smoke is acceptable? And Nanjiyar said the Shastra mentions that this flower and this fragrance is not acceptable because it would irritate the Bhagavatas. It would prick the devotees, and hence these are not accepted. Bhattar's Nirvaham is completely lateral. His Anubhavam is beautiful, exotic, and full of bhakti, full of devotion. Only who immerses himself in Divya Prabandha Anubhavam, in bhakti, would be able to come out of such beautiful answers. And of course, Iru Pirattimar Nilai Kooduvathu Yen. There was one more question. When Trimangai Alvar or Periyalvar, when they talk about Rama Avataram and Krishna Avataram in the same Padigam, they went into the role of one Nayaki, one Gopika who talks about Rama, and other Gopika who talks about Krishna. How can Alvar take the role of two Gopikas, two Piratiyar? And Bhattar says, when Nanjiyar asked this question, Bhattar says, when you are in Sri Vaikuntham, you can take one form, two Sariram, three Sariram, 9 Sariram, like that. Isaya Ekata Bhavati, Dvita Bhavati, like that. So, similarly, Alvars can take very many Sariram, very many forms, and hence it is possible for them to take two roles. And Bhattar Anubhavam is like that, is always enjoyable. One can go on talking about Bhattar's Anubhavam one after the other. For the paucity of time, we would stop here. Bhattar Trivadigalaya Charanam, Acharyam Trivadigalaya Charanam. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gudasharine Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Dhanyosmi Adiya.